As someone who loves animals and even has a cat named James and a dog named Bobby, Radagast has always been one of my favorite characters. Honest, gentle, a protector of the forest and all living creatures. In the books, he's actually the one who sends the eagle that ends up rescuing Gandalf from the top of Orthanc. But personal feelings aside, here's what Tolkien states in Unfinished Tales. Indeed, of all the Astari, one only remained faithful, and he was the last comer. The last comer was named among the elves Mithrandir, the Grey Pilgrim, for he dwelt in no place and gathered to himself neither wealth nor followers. If only one of them stayed faithful, does that mean the others abandoned their purpose? Or not? That's what we'll investigate in this video. The group of wizards known as the Astari was sent to Middle-earth with a very specific purpose. Tolkien explains this mission clearly in Unfinished Tales. The Valar, seeing Sauron rise again as a threat, sent a group of wizards to Middle-earth to assist its people, especially elves and men. That was their mission. Another passage from Unfinished Tales. When maybe 1,000 years had passed and the first shadow had fallen on Greenwood the Great, the Astari or wizards appeared in Middle-earth. It was afterwards said that they came out of the far west and were messengers sent to contest the power of Sauron, and to unite all those who had the will to resist him. Radagast did fulfill that mission for a time. He settled near the borders of Mirkwood and was a key ally in resisting the spread of evil from Dol Guldur. Later, as mentioned, he played a crucial role in Gandalf's rescue, because unlike the films, the books do not depict Gandalf summoning a moth to call the eagles. That was a cinematic shortcut, since Radagast doesn't appear in the first trilogy. In the books, the situation is very different. Saruman asked Radagast to find Gandalf and send him to Isengard. Radagast had no reason to suspect ill intentions from the head of their order. But, by delivering that message, he unintentionally lured Gandalf into Saruman's trap. This led Gandalf to briefly question whether Radagast had fallen, but he soon dismissed the idea. Here are Gandalf's words in the Fellowship of the Ring. At first I feared, as Saruman no doubt intended, that Radagast had also fallen. Yet I had caught no hint of anything wrong in his voice or in his eye at our meeting. If I had, I should never have gone to Isengard, or I should have gone more warily. So Saruman guessed, and he had concealed his mind and deceived his messenger. It would have been useless in any case to try and win over the honest Radagast to treachery. He sought me in good faith and so persuaded me. That was the undoing of Saruman's plot, for Radagast knew no reason why he should not do as I asked. And he rode away towards Mirkwood, where he had many friends of old. And the eagles of the mountains went far and wide, and they saw many things. And they sent a messenger to bring these tidings to me. So it was that when summer waned, there came a night of moon, and Gwaihir the Windlord, swiftest of the great eagles, came unlooked for to Orthanc, and he found me standing on the pinnacle. Then I spoke to him, and he bore me away, before Saruman was aware. From this point on, however, Radagast began to drift further and further from the true purpose of his mission, until he eventually became entirely absorbed in the world of animals and plants. This brings us to a very interesting reflection. The goal of this video is not to condemn Radagast, but to understand what Tolkien is trying to say. The professor seems to be telling us that even honest, well-intentioned people can cause great harm when they abandon their purpose or become passive in moments that demand responsibility. Another quotation from Unfinished Tales. Indeed, of all the Astari, one only remained faithful, and he was the last comer. For Radagast the Fourth became enamored of the many beasts and birds that dwelt in Middle-earth, and forsook elves and men, and spent his days among the wild creatures. Thus he got his name, which is in the tongue of Numenor of old, and signifies, it is said, tender of beasts. When we analyze this objectively, we can reach a simple conclusion. The Valar saw a threat in Middle-earth great enough to require 5 wizards. In fact, there may have been even more Astari, but only 5 are named. Quote, of this order the number is unknown, but of those that came to the north of Middle-earth, where there was most hope, because of the remnant of the Dunedain and of the Eldar that abode there, the chiefs were 5. Besides Gandalf, we had Saruman, Radagast, and the 2 blue wizards, Alatar and Palando. The mission was difficult enough that 5 were needed. Yet the blue wizards disappeared into the east. Saruman, the leader of the Order, not only abandoned his duty, but joined the enemy. This already made the mission far harder. Fewer wizards helping, more work for the ones who remained. And to make matters worse, Radagast withdrew from Elves and Men to live among birds and beasts. This left everything on the shoulders of one single Istar, Gandalf. Gandalf had to handle everything, confronting Saruman, dealing with Theoden poisoned by Wormtongue, rallying Rohan's forces to save those trapped in Helm's Deep, riding to Minas Tirith, organizing its defense, and facing the Nazgul alone. A metaphorical line from the films captures this perfectly. When Gandalf says he has lived the equivalent of 300 men's lifetimes and now has no time left.
300 lives of men. I walk this earth, and now I have no time.
Whether literal or not, the sentiment fits the reality he faced. There's no doubt that one more active wizard in the equation would have saved countless lives. It's no coincidence that one of the most common questions from viewers who only watch the films is, where the heck was Radagast during the War of the Ring? And it's not just viewers who wonder about this. Even within the story, Radagast's absence is noticeable. During the War of the Ring, several messengers and travelers passed through Rhosgobel, Radagast's old home, hoping to find allies. But when they reached the place, they found no one. In other words, even the characters inside the narrative had lost track of him. And from that point on, no one ever heard from Radagast again. Quoting Fellowship of the Ring, many had gone east and south, and some of these had crossed the mountains and entered Mirkwood, while others had climbed the pass at the sources of the Gladden River, and had come down into Wilderland and over the Gladden Fields, and so at length had reached the old home of Radagast at Rhosgobel. Radagast was not there. But in Radagast's defense, I think it's possible he was carrying out a hidden mission given to him by Yavanna, the Vala he served. There is textual support for this in Unfinished Tales. Quote, Saruman took Radagast because Yavanna begged him, and that Alatar took Palando as a friend. The meaning of these relations between Istari and Valar is clearly, in the light of the brief narrative just cited, that each Istar was chosen by each Vala for his innate characteristics. Yavanna, being the Vala of forests and living things, could indeed have entrusted Radagast with specific secret duties. Even so, when Tolkien writes that only one Istar remained faithful, he is speaking as an omniscient narrator, not expressing the opinion of any character. So a great mystery emerges. What happened to Radagast after Gandalf, Galadriel, and the others returned to the West? Did he remain in Middle-earth? For how long, and with what consequences? In the end, I believe Tolkien used Radagast to illustrate something powerful, that the omission of the good can be just as damaging as the actions of the wicked. If you like this kind of video, consider subscribing and leaving a like for more. It really helps small channels like this. Take care and see you in the next one.